All right, here with head women's volleyball coach Angela Spoja. Coach, hitting the road today actually to go to this Seawolf Volleyball Invitational up in Alaska. Before we get into other questions, just have you ever been to Alaska or competed up there in that region and done this tournament before at all?
I have never been to Alaska, and I'm super excited to check it off my list.
Maybe one thing I will actually add to that as a foray is just, is there any kind of bit of, I mean, obviously you're taking this trip. I know that they have a very elaborate volleyball, like just that arena, that facility is really
beautiful. Right.
Is that an exciting way for the team and for the players to kind of start the season to kind of go into that environment for 4 games?
I think it is. Honestly, I'm not sure how many of our players know like that story or the background. I'm trying not to hype it up too much. I want them to be like excited, but not. I want them to be in their competitive mind, and go in. I don't want them to be thinking like, oh, we're going to play in this huge arena and this is going to be a problem for us. I think there's going to be enough excitement around traveling. So, yeah.
I mean, I guess just starting with Upper Iowa, I mean, what do you think of? Yeah, what do you look at to get out of just kind of in that first performance? I kind of asked this, I think it's just kind of a universal question, but what signals to you, aside from just obviously getting a victory, which you want, what are some of those sub-level things that will be signs that you feel like will be, that you'll perform well in these first 4 games?
We have some passing goals to get through. I think we ran our scrimmage the other night, and I know we're pretty tough servers, so we're serving against each other. But we have some passing goals that we need to beat playing against Upper Iowa. I think they're a strong team. I've watched them on film now this year, and I think it'll be a good start for us. And I do think it's going to be a tough match going back and forth. Our hitters have some stats that they also want to reach. I mean, they know if they're going to be hitting above a 200 or 200 as a team that we're going to do fairly well. I mean, there are times when you hit way above a 200 and you still don't win, depending on what the opponent's hitting. But if we started out with those things, other than a W, those would be big wins for our team.
I mean, I think one thing I know you don't want to look ahead, but I almost love the favorableness of, it leads up to maybe the hardest opponent, which is Alaska Anchorage.
That's what they say.
Is it, I mean, obviously you're just looking for different things, you're taking it game by game, but obviously it just gets players going when they have a chance to face a high level team. So how do you manage that aspect of? So
I'm actually excited to play them last. I think initially I wanted to play them first because I didn't really want them to see what we had, but they've played already, so I've been able to watch them as well. And I'm excited to play them last. I think what we're lacking right now, because we haven't faced an opponent other than ourselves, is the cohesiveness that comes with that, and kind of the flow on the court. And I think by the time we play them, we should be well into that area of feeling kind of what it's like in our starting lineups to be next to the same people passing, to have the same people on the court, and feeling that cohesiveness. So I think by the time we play them, we should be in a pretty good position. I mean, I know that they're ranked 14th or whatever, when the poll came out. But for me, in preseason, polls mean nothing. So we're just going to take it day by day, but we are excited to play them for sure.
And maybe one last point to that is obviously it's a very, it kind of sets the table for conference play where it's a competitive CACA, very, very competitive conference. So how much of that kind of maybe gives you that nice taste where there's these elements of sort of playing these non-conference opponents, but then getting a taste of something that's also probably going to get you up to speed for league play?
Yeah, and that was another kind of idea when we chose this tournament, and I won't tell you how all that came about because it's a longer story than what I can give you, but the GNAC is typically a strong conference, and so when we're going to go there and we're going to see, Alaska Anchorage and Fairbanks, and they tend to do pretty well in the GNAC, and I'd say it's comparable to the CCAA. I am going to say that I think the CCAA is stronger in the GNAC, in the top probably 4 teams, but very comparable. So I think that's really going to set us up nicely to just give us a starting point of like, where are we at, what are our weaknesses, and where do we need to spend our time when we roll back into Denver the next week to just, I guess, quickly make some improvements. So.
And maybe just lastly in general, with it being these Colorado tournaments and the Alaska tournament, How do you just manage? Obviously, it's kind of a little. I mean, it's a little normal. It's a little difficult going on the road for your first 8 games before you get into a home game. How do you just kind of manage that with your team, kind of maybe mentally or?
Yeah, I think the biggest part about that is missing school. I think that's a stressor for all student athletes, and I think that they have done a good job letting their professors know that we're going to be gone and what to expect. But yeah, being gone, I mean, we're here, we leave and we're here for one day and then we leave again. And so I think that's a stressor. I think it definitely takes a toll on your mental health. I mean, your nutrition also is not the best on the road. But if you can fight against all of those aspects and still come out with wins, that's pretty good. Because our goal, any coach's goal, right? You want to win at home. It's your home court. So if you can do those great things on the road and get some wins and then come back, it looks pretty good for you when you're playing at home. In your own bed, eating your own food, going to class. So.
Quick question here at the end to wrap this up. You did have the green versus gold scrimmage this past week. Both of the sideline sections seemed to be pretty full. The athletes came out and supported your team.
Yes.
What was that like being in a jersey? You've only been here. You guys have just been practicing to get that first taste of competition before you do go up to Alaska. And what were some positives that you took away from that day?
I think that did serve its purpose. I mean, that was a dry run for us, and I feel like we got a lot of the kinks out. I think the girls the athletes are always nervous when you put on the jersey. I think I talked about that last time, but they were nervous in the first few points, and it showed. And I think that is kind of working through some of those things. I mean, we generally have a new team with 11 new faces this fall, and 3 of those did come in the spring, but this is all new to them. So the more that we can put on the jersey and be in our home court and do those types of things is just helps them work through. It showed us a few of our weaknesses. It showed us, in long rallies where we're kind of not coming back to the basics. And so those are things that we pointed out and worked on yesterday. And we're hoping to take that learning and take it into our first game.
Great. Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good luck.